welcome to Expert Talk Part 2, Retaining International Talent, Talent Management, Take it to another level. Today's focus is how to effectively retain international talent. And I'm Marjan Stoit, I'm your host of today, and questions can be asked in the chat. We will have a look at it and try to answer them along the meeting. So you're very welcome to have your questions in there. Like I said, I'm Marjan Stoit, Commercial Manager of Undutchables, and I'm delighted to guide you throughout the session today. I work already 26 years in this lovely company, and this year is Undutchables' anniversary year. We are already 30 years going strong. On the Undutchables, we have been connecting international professionals with organizations in the Netherlands for 30 years now, and we know just how important it is not only to attract, but also to develop and retain international talent. After the success of our first expert talk, we are excited to continue the conversation on one of today's most pressing HR challenges, how to effectively retain international talent. In this second session, we focus on advanced methods for developing and retaining international employees. International professionals often face unique challenges, and due to the cultural differences, they may be less likely to proactively ask for growth opportunities. So today we dive into the innovative practices such as proactive talent management, actively support development instead of relying on self-initiation, reverse mentoring, equipping leadership with deeper insight into challenges that internationals face, horizontal career paths, creating opportunities for broadening expertise at the same level alongside vertical growth, inclusive progression, ensuring equal chances for internationals to grow into high-level positions, and then network. Make sure you explore and use their network. By exploring these strategies, including reverse mentoring and equity programs and ambition initiatives, we aim to uncover how organizations can shape a more inclusive and future-focused approach to talent management. And who better can lead us in this conversation than our expert Wendy Broersen. Wendy is an internationally recognized DI expert, founder of Superpeople Company, and award-winning author, and with a mission to make workplaces truly inclusive and future-ready. So let's dive in and get inspired. Wendy, the floor is yours.
Ooh, what a nice introduction.
Yeah.
So my name is Wendy Broersen. I'm an international inclusion expert, and my company, together with over 30 experts, we work all over Europe. Europe is our focus, and we work for clients like these. Not so interesting. Let's dive into the agenda of today. Marjan already talked about this. We're going to be talking about how to keep your international talents, and number one on their list is development. So if you have an environment where they can develop themselves, where they can be the best or the most that they want to be, it's easier to hold on to those talents. We're going to be talking about proactive talent management, which is different from most talent management. We're going to be talking about reverse mentoring, which will create a more inclusive environment and culture. We'll be talking about horizontal and vertical careers, and I'll tell you about that. We'll be talking about inclusive talent reviews. Unfortunately, most talent reviews aren't that inclusive of international talents. And of course, what do they bring apart from themselves to your organization, and how can you benefit from that? So let's dive into proactive talent management. Why do you need international talent management? Well, if you have a national team and you want to add internationals to that, it's going to be something that you want to put on your list, because especially if the majority is from, like, say, the Netherlands, you'll need a special focus for your international talents. Most research will show that if you have a little bit of diversity in your team, that little bit of diversity, the people that belong to that diverse group, usually have a disadvantage if we look at career chances, if you look at personal growth, if you look at having a voice, being respected. All that is different for international talents if they become part of a national team. If you're already managing an international team, international talent management should be on your agenda as well. Obviously, culture influences your talents, and therefore it should influence your management of those talents as well. And the home country where the home country where they are from also influences talents in their way of expressing themselves, in their way of perception, especially if they come from a country where international teams aren't as common as they are in, like, say, the Netherlands or the UK. You'll see way more international teams for way longer than countries where there's not a lot of migration from other countries too. So home country has a big influence on your talent management as well. So obviously international talent management, if I would explain everything and anything about it, it would take me way more than the hour that I have now. So I thought I'd focus on the main difference between ordinary talent management and international talent management. By the way, your non-internationals will benefit from this as well. Which is proactive talent management. If I compare it to the Dutch way, which is a culture of speaking up for yourself, announcing what you want, being very forward on your wishes and on your desires, that's not going to work for most international talents. And it actually doesn't even work for most of the Dutch. But so anybody that is introvert, anybody that comes from a we culture, we always say, so where family and is the most important factor in that culture, will not thrive in an ordinary talent management process or structure. If you are proactive, and I'll explain about that later, it will also enhance your retainment strategy. So I'm hoping that you have a retainment strategy, because nowadays all organizations, national or international, will need a retainment strategy, because it's the only way that you'll be able to grow. There is such a lack of people on the labor market that if you do not have a retainment strategy, you're basically doomed. So you have to keep them, and then also be able to attract other people. If you do not have a retainment strategy, it could basically be they call it revolving doors syndrome, where people come in, but also a lot of people are leaving, and obviously if those numbers are equal or even worse, it will be hard to grow. And you have to be proactive because most of the times you're going to be too late if you're not. What do I mean by proactive talent management? Well, it can be as simple as having an HR system where you have a good set of data about everyone that's working for you, their skills, their certificates and their education. And whenever whenever there's an open position, you will send out to the people in your organization that meet the requirements, or let's say 5 of 7 of the requirements, you'll send them proactively that opening, that job. It can be as simple as that, but it's far more effective if you do that in person, of course. Most internationals are very focused on the job that they are doing now, and if they are from a weak culture, they won't put their own wishes and desires first, which basically means that they will keep on doing what they are doing and do not have a keen eye on possibilities or openings for themselves. So being a proactive talent manager will actually gain you a lot of goodwill, which is obviously good for your retainment strategy, but also it will prevent you of being too late. Don't know if you ever changed your job, but I did a couple of times actually. And my employer was always too late, because by the time they realized that I might be leaving the company, I already made my decision. So you have to beat those times when people are thinking about, oh, is this really what I want? Am I being seen? Am I being, appreciated? And maybe there's another place for me out there. And with the recruitment going on LinkedIn, I don't know about you, but and I'm an entrepreneur, I get approached a lot of times for jobs that might fit me, so it's easy to find another job. And funny enough, there are times in the year that people think about these things more often. Everybody who's a recruiter, Marjan, is that during Christmas time or during the holidays, and also in the summer, people are thinking, oh, is this really what I want? Is this really so nice? Maybe there's something out there, something new for me. And you need to beat those times. It's real easy to be proactive if you are aware of these times, and then you can proactively have a conversation with your talents, so they won't think during the holidays or the holiday season, maybe I should go somewhere else. So if you know that this starts around Christmas time, or like say last 2 weeks of December and the first month in the year, New Year's resolutions, they do exist also on the workforce. And summertime, so say July, August for most, if you beat those times and if you are proactive before those times, it will be way easier to keep your talents. And
okay,
let's
sort of a recap period then, the summer and Christmas.
Yeah. People use those times to look back on what they've done, what they have achieved, and maybe also make a wish for the next year. And so it's easy to beat that period by being proactive in October, November.
Okay, we have a question, Wendy.
Yeah. Okay, good.
How can you explain what is exactly the Dutch way?
Oh,
please.
Yeah, the Dutch way is what I explained. It's being assertive, because that's rewarded. Speak up for yourself. Be as an employee proactive in what you want, what you need, and what you desire.
And that's
And
not
that's
necessarily the case for internationals, right? So
no,
you need
because
to.
it's very much based on it sounds a bit harsh, but I'm a Dutchie, so don't worry. It's based on the ego, on the egocentric way of the structure. And so it's what's in it for me is the question that a lot of people ask themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not team players or they can't work together with somebody else, but the structures in most organizations, and not even just the Dutch organizations, but most organizations are focused on that you as an employee have to be proactive in managing your own talent. Whereas a lot of people from different countries and also introverts are not used to do that or not comfortable to do that.
Be aware, yeah.
Yeah, and so the proactive part can actually is actually proven strategy to keep your talents, to make sure that they're happy and stay happy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to offer them more money or a vertical move in the hierarchy. I'll get into that later. But the proactive part of international talent management is a success factor if you grab hold of that and try to be that proactive as much as you can. If you have 5,000 employees and they're all internationals, I can imagine that you can't do one-on-ones with everyone twice a year. But like I said, sending emails of positions that might be a fit within the organization, of course, could be a way to tackle that. And like I said, it's the number one reason to leave an organization is when they don't value your talents. It's the number one reason. Okay.
Yeah. What is the process to find international talent? Does it have any specific country? Maybe you can elaborate, the person who's asking this?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you
just
speak?
Unmute?
Yeah, hi there. Yeah, hi, Wendy.
Hi.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah. So my question is, what is the process to find the international talent in regards to, for example, someone is working in particular category, that is a skill, unskill, or a semi-skill category. So what is the process to start for that?
Well, hire a good recruiter like Undutchables. Sorry, it's an open door. But just make sure that your job opening is posted not only in the Dutch language or any other language that's the main language that you communicate in. Make sure that every piece of communication is at least in English, but preferably also in the languages that that you're looking your talents that of the countries that you're looking for your talents. Also, one of the other things that really works well is to have, if you already have somebody from that culture or country, have a really nice storytelling way of how what it is like to work for your organization when you are from, I don't know, India or any other country that you're recruiting in. Catering your communication to the culture, to the country that you're looking for talents in is one of the best ways to make sure that there's a good number of people that know that you're looking and that you're open to hire from that particular country. Is that an answer to your question? Hopefully.
Yeah, and just one more thing, just like to ask, like any age criteria before hiring a person or a candidate from particular country, maybe from India, Bangladesh, Canada, or maybe some other country?
Age
The
is
funny
not
thing
position.
is that it's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in Europe, it's illegal to do
Age
that.
is not position relevant, so
No,
you can
it's
focus on
illegal,
style
which is
and
good.
culture text, like Wendy was saying, for certain talent to make them feel welcome. Doesn't matter which country. So those things, we never recruit also with Undutchables on nationality. We recruit internationals with the right talent.
Yeah. But if you are targeting a specific country because of reasons of the function, that you need somebody who is,
Market knowledge.
familiar with a certain culture because you're opening a factory there, that might be
Could be
relevant.
handy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's good to cater to the specific audience as much as you can.
Yeah.
And if you don't have people from that country, and when somebody is applying, it does also work if it's somebody from another country, but is has been working for you for a while and knows what it's like to work for your organization, being an international, because it's a tight community. Internationals really stick to each other, because coming to a foreign country, foreign culture, it's always nice to have people sort of get you familiar with the ways to do things, specifically if they have been around for a while and can help you with that. Surprisingly enough, I don't see a lot of ERGs, employee resource groups, of internationals, but they are growing. So I see more and more of them because the number of internationals working for organizations and companies in Europe is rising because of the lack of people in the workforce.
Scarcity,
so there's not enough people, and you see the ERGs, which are employee resource groups, which are people that have something in common, which could be that you're not from that country or an international. I see those ERGs growing and also popping up at more and more international companies. Yeah. And there's also a lot of companies that used to be all, like, say, national, but they can't find the people that they need. So they
attract.
change into an international company. You see that a lot with companies that are looking for people that are brilliant in IT, with data, with a couple of professions that they're just too hard to find. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question, Sten.
Yes, Wendy. And just last question before we I end this. Uh, is it related to only skill category, the jobs which you are telling, or it's semi-skilled or maybe unskilled, or at least targeting specifically for skill category?
I don't get your question. Can you rephrase it?
Yeah, my question is, for example, as you said that obviously you're looking for international talent, but the jobs or maybe the position which they are applying is only for skill category or semi-skill, or it includes all the three categories like unskilled also.
Well, then my question would be, what is a semi-skill?
Like in between like skill and unskilled category. Like for example, someone who is an IT professional, someone is working as in pharmaceutical, and someone is a manager or maybe an admin position in his or her particular country, or someone in the label category that
Well,
comes into. Yeah.
Job openings in Europe are targeted towards skills. So it could be managerial skills, could be IT skills, specific IT skills, could be any other skill that you can define. So in Europe, there's no definition between a skill or a semi-skill. It's just not there. So a skill could be that you're assertive, that you're a great communicator, but it could also be that you are a software engineer. So, and usually the job openings have a combination of the two. So and we call them soft skills sometimes. I do hate the term, but they call them like that. So hard skills are stuff that you can learn in any kind of education, and usually just naming the education is enough to tick that box. And soft skills are stuff that will make you fit in better into the organization or in the team, or in relation to the other things you need to be doing, like communicator. I mean, you could be, so that could be an extra thing. But semi-skills is a term that is not often used, that I know of anyway. Marjan?
Yeah, and if you want to be open,
I got it, Wendy. So I think so. I got all the answers. Yeah, I got all the answers. Thank you for your valuable information.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, let's go, Wendy.
I love interaction.
Yeah,
as you know. So I'm going to. So I dove into a proactive talent management, but now I'm going to share I always call it cherry on top. So the cherry on top is reverse mentoring. Reverse mentoring, just let me explain what it is. It is a younger employee, usually a younger employee, mentoring their more senior counterparts. And usually it's in hierarchy. So it's somebody that is 1 or 2 tiers up will be mentored by somebody who is in a lower tier of their career. And it is a great way to create a two-way exchange of skills, perspectives, and knowledge. And why do they do? Most people are interested in reverse mentoring is because it bridges the generational gap, but also often something that they don't have on that level, on that tier. So, for instance, if there's not a lot of international talents in the highest tiers of your organization, that doesn't mean that you don't have international talents that could be on that level, but it could be that your organizational culture is sort of hindering the natural flow towards those higher tiers. And so if you do invest in reverse mentoring, it will create an understanding at a higher level what is needed by those internationals to reach where they are. And if you are not an international yourself, you can be very empathic, you could be understanding, you could even be a cultural sensitive person, but you don't know what it's like. And especially not on the work floor, because if you are in a higher tier in the organization, you usually have a less of an understanding on how things go in your culture and on the work floor. It also is a great way to encourage the sharing of knowledge and perspectives by a younger generation in the evolving technological landscape, because they are people that are born into a world where there was internet, whereas I just turned 55 and I was not born into a world where there was internet. I was even born in a world where there were mobile phones. So that creates a gap, possibly, and we can't do without those new technologies. I mean, nobody can imagine anymore what it would be like without the internet. Being from a different culture can also create a perspective on what you encounter while working and living in a new country. I would say the most beneficial thing is that they will give you a perspective of what is needed or what is wanted for the future. And you, as a mentee in a higher hierarchy tier, can create the future for the younger generation in your organization. Also a great way to keep them, by the way. So a lot of it's not as easy as mentoring, and it's definitely different. We just completed a round of reverse mentoring at EY, and with the partners, and they explained to me one more time, because we've been doing it for a long time now, is that it really opens up their perspective on things generation-wise, but also in this case we were doing reverse mentoring with female talents, and it raised their attention, and also it raised their awareness on what women encounter differently than the male partners of the group that we had in this group. So I can highly recommend it. But before you dive into it, there are a couple of do's and don'ts, and I thought I'd share them with you, because if you do not follow these do's and don'ts, it is doomed to fail.
Okay.
I have to be that strict, unfortunately. So being a mentor of a senior mentee requires specific skills and tips and tricks. So you need to train your mentors. Otherwise, before you know it, the mentee will become the mentor, and then, the whole thing goes to shit, basically. Oh, that's not very nice to say for me, but it really works that way. Your mentees will also not be used to be mentored anymore. So it really asks for mentors that are skilled and trained. Second thing is, you have to screen your mentees. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, I'll be open to all this, but they really need to have an open mindset, because they're going to be contradicted a lot by their mentor. They're going to be challenged by their mentor, and they need to be open to learn. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And to create some safety, they cannot be in the same career line. So they can be of the same entity or the same, department, but they can't be in the same career line, because a mentor is also going to say to a mentee, well, I don't think you're thinking the right way, or correct their mentees in their thinking and in their assumptions. And so it needs to be safe. That's not going to backfire on them when they are reviewed for the next step in their career. And the last thing, we had a great results with. We've been doing it for 2 years now this way. We set up shadow coaching, which basically means that a mentor gets a shadow coach for one session. So they have their regular meeting, but the shadow coach will watch what's going on, how a non-verbal language, all that, to coach and guide either the mentor or the mentee to get the most out of this program. But if you do all this, you'll get raving reviews and a change of culture. And it can go really fast. With that EY group, there were only 6 mentees and mentors. Well, so 12 duos, 6 duos and 12 mentors and mentees. And they already noticed a difference because the mentors coached and gave advice to the mentees. They already noticed a change in the culture within 3 months. So it can go really, really fast. Oh, and by the way, this program usually is about 6 months, but they usually pick it up on their own afterwards. So that's really nice.
Great.
Anybody has questions about this? Nope. Okay, I'll look at a time, and I really want to end with all of it. Something that's often overlooked, and with international talents, we see a lot of talents that are not so much eager on growing their career vertically, but much more interested in growing their career horizontally. So becoming the best expert on whatever they are is usually one of the reasons why they aspire a job in a different country with a different company. So I'm not saying that's all of it, but it's definitely broadening their experience and skills on whatever they are desiring to be an expert in. Sorry. So if you are doing talent management, which is one of the ways to keep your talents, you have to keep in mind what they would like to achieve and not what you want them to achieve. There's a difference. And again, be proactive. So give them a lot of possibilities to either pick up projects, go to conferences, bring back interesting information, reach out to their home country and the experts that are there, because usually you don't have that knowledge coming in naturally. So the horizontal part, please don't forget it. Not everybody wants to be the partner or the director of a department. A lot of people are really, really happy becoming the expert on XYZ within your organization. Anybody have questions about that? Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. I'm hoping that I'm not boring you to death, but
no, it's really nice. Go on.
Yeah, okay. Well, if I am boring you, please put it in the notes as well, because then I can do something about it. But lastly, but not least, topic is inclusive talent reviews. Unfortunately, most talent reviews do not incorporate the international part, and especially the cultural part. So if you are from a different culture than the organization that you're in or the country that you're in, you can bet your bottoms that the talent reviews are perfect for that country and that culture, but not so much for anybody that has a very different cultural background. And so why do you need extra attention on inclusion when you're doing talent reviews? Most managers are not culture sensitive. So, and I'm sorry to say this, but if you just visited another country or went on a holiday there, that doesn't mean that you know the culture, and that doesn't also it doesn't mean that you're cultural sensitive about that country or that culture. Most people gain a cultural sensitivity in depth, I would say, when they have lived there and worked there for a couple of years. And doing an internship for 6 months somewhere else, it does raise your cultural sensitivity, but it doesn't mean that you know this culture in depth and all that is needed. The Dutch review processes are not culture sensitive. They usually do not have any pointers on how to assess people in an inclusive way when they are from another culture.
May I ask something, please?
Yes, of course.
You mean review processes, and then you mean the yearly evaluation, right?
Well, I'm hoping you do them twice a year, but because that would be the best way to do it. But at least once a year, yes.
And which kind of tips can you share for the Dutch people to have a better culture sensitive during this process?
Specifically on the soft skills, being well, one book that I would say is mandatory when you're working with international teams is the culture map. It will give you a couple of pointers on how to make sure that everybody on the review committee is aware what is meant by a certain word, especially if it's not their native language. It's really important what you mean by assertive, or what you mean by communicative, or those soft skills. You have to elaborate a lot on what is meant by that. And the people in the review committee need to have a really good understanding what is meant by that. Otherwise, if they're interviewing somebody and they're not, my perception of communicative could be different than yours. And so there needs to be consensus on that, taking into account that communicative, the way that you express yourself, is different per culture, per country. Am I making sense?
Yeah, well, a little bit. It's still like, I don't get if what you are trying to say is if there should be a different way of assessment for internationals than for Dutch people.
Okay, say you have somebody up who's for review, to make a decision if that person is up for a promotion or not. That's a given for most. If you, and one of the factors that is in the reviewing process is a soft skill like being assertive. Being assertive, you need to describe what is meant by assertive, and then also take into account that in some cultures, it's really not done to be assertive in the way that most Dutch people review being assertive without being rude. For some cultures, being assertive, per definition, is rude. So they won't display those skills in a way that me, as a Dutchie, would review that as being assertive. I would think that that person is not assertive at all, or only slightly assertive. So you need to take into account the culture that somebody is from. And I'm making huge generalizations because not everybody from Japan is demure or not as, not as forward as we would like to see when we talk about assertive. But it's more of a subtle way of how they present that skill. So if you don't have that cultural sensitivity about soft skills like that, it's going to be hard to review everybody in the way that they deserve, because you're going to have to give them a little, I would say, working time to present it in a way that you are used to. I see it a lot with, I hear it a lot because I have a lot of expert friends, and they say, yeah, when I go back to my country, they think, that I've gotten really rude. And you hear that a lot. It's because they have grown, they've grown into the culture that they're working with, and in. And when they go back to their home country, they consider to be rude. So they do make steps, but they do make them in a slower time and not as expressive as you might think. Is that a better answer to your question?
Yeah, that's very clear. Thank you. I also work with French people and I can recognize this. And one thing which happens a lot is that Dutch people think that French colleagues are not really assertive because they don't communicate on the way Dutch people would like to read. But it's not only happening with French, but also with many other nationalities.
Yes.
So then I think the problem lies more on the Dutch people than on the internationals.
For sure.
To accept how people communicate. But for sure, yeah, I recognize this point strongly. Yes, thank you.
And also, giving feedback or asking critical questions is also something that is could be very valuable in certain professions, and could also be a prerequisite for a promotion or to become a manager. But you have to take into account the culture that somebody is from, or the international cultures that are out there that are definitely not in favor of asking critical questions because they're just not used to it. It doesn't mean that they can't do it, but you have to take that into account. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Wendy, and questions.
Yeah, so, I love questions. I really do, because it makes me feel that I'm not alone in this call. And keep in mind that if they can't grow, they won't stay with you. They will go to your neighbor, because usually sometimes they love the country, especially some countries in the world are considered to be very, popular, and the Netherlands is one of them. But if they can't grow, they won't stay with you. They will go to another company in the Netherlands that has an eye out for them and is welcoming international talents. So be aware that if you don't change your procedures and structures, it is a definitely no-go area for most.
I have to wrap it up before we move on, Wendy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course.
I had a question. Maybe Henning, can you elaborate?
I thought that was the idea of asking questions that you answer them, but
yeah.
No, I'm just
sorry.
I really like
see them, so we have to rely on Marjan.
Yeah. All right.
That's
okay.
Right.
I really like the theme of this call, and I totally relate. But it maybe in not a but in addition, I'd say a lot of people seem to leave because of their managers. They don't feel seen for their skills or talent manager, and managers often seem to make decisions based on their own ego or out of fear, instead of really having the best for the company or the team or even the individual in mind. So a retainment strategy, in my opinion, starts with a clear vision and mission from the company and providing a safer environment to follow through on that. But that is,
for sure,
that should go for all companies. So my question is there really a difference from expats leaving the company versus Dutch employees leaving the company? And I do understand that there's cultural differences. And believe me, I'm a German living in the Netherlands for more than 30 years. I had my experiences, but in general, I'd say, is there really a difference if you follow the approach?
It really depends. If it's a Dutch or French or German or whatever country organization that turned international, you see a lot of differences in opening up and career possibilities for internationals. If it's been international from the start, you see a lot of you don't see that as much. So there's a difference between the two, and then whether and then also you see in the upper tiers, and so the organization is usually led by people from the country that the company is originating from. You see that a lot. You see that with the French and the Italians and the Spanish, and with most, and also in Germany, you see that a lot. To say that I can't really say yes or no to your statement. What I can say is that if you have an upper-tier that is international, truly international, and also visually international, because as you know, physically, the difference between a German or a Dutch person, you can't really see it. They're not wearing a little flag on their collar, or they don't. Yeah. Well, and as soon as they open up their mouth, maybe, but you can't really see it. And there is research out there that if the board and or the MT is visually diverse, it will attract more internationals, and internationals will feel more at home in an organization where you see that.
Yep. So again, I think that goes for all companies. If it's 100% Dutch company, if you have a board that's all male and 50 years plus, you won't feel very comfortable as a woman if you have the right skills and everything to give that company a boost.
Yep. Diversity is for all companies.
But
indeed.
If you are in a situation like that, one of the things that really works is, and I've seen this happen more often, I see it more often, is when you have a junior board. So in the junior board, you see a lot of diversity, and that junior board is also taken very seriously. So stuff like that will, or situations like that will definitely improve your, I would say, employer brand. That really works.
I agree.
Also, I don't want my gut feeling. I see international companies that are run mostly by people that either speak that language fluently, for one reason or another, or are of the originating country where the organization has their roots. They usually have a pro. I see that with a lot of big French companies. I've seen it with big German companies. If there are internationals in there, they either look like them and or speak fluently that language that is spoken mostly. Unfortunately, I would say. But that's what I see.
We have 5 more minutes, Wendy. So
yeah. Thank you for asking. I love, like I said, I love interaction. I already know what I'm talking about, so interaction makes it more valuable. One of the other things that is usually unexplored is the network of your internationals. And I would go as far to say as their network is your net worth, because if you are a foreigner in a new country, you will naturally grow attachment to other people that are either also from another country or the same country that you are from. And so they have a close community, and that community exists within the organization. You see it at lunchtime, I always say. You see all these tables that speak one language, and it's because the company might be international, but people sit with the people that speak their own, like, say, native language. You see that a lot, but also outside of the organization. So with sport clubs, with groups of cooking. I know a couple of groups that cook together, sit together, have barbecues together, eat together. Something about food that really, really connects people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they create this close community within the organization, and therefore are also curators of your reputation as an employer. And so it can work both ways. If they're really happy about what you're doing, they will for sure let that know to their family, to their friends in their home country, and it will make it easier for you to maybe attract a couple of people out of their network. The other thing is that, and it's often overlooked, is the partners of the people that move to the country have to be happy. An unhappy partner is a surefire way to lose your talent. And there's more and more organizations that have an eye out for that. There's even there going to be information about that on the 7th of November, right, Marjan?
Yes, correct. Our live event, yes.
Yeah,
more information
on our live
later.
Event, they will share their insights as well, and then obviously the network of your international can be a very, very nice source for your recruiters. Because and we're all wired that way. If somebody that looks like us, talks like us, tells us that this is really nice, then they believe it far easier, and it's far more believable than somebody, no matter how skilled they are, telling them. So their network can be of true value to you that way. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely did. We'll share all the slides. Hang on, I'm going to try to unshare. Here we go, so I can see you. Well, some of you anyway, which is really nice. But we will share all slides. Obviously, my contact information is in there, and Marjan's contact information is in there as well.
Yeah.
So if you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah.
It's not
I have
that
a last
easy.
slide. Yeah.
So,
sorry, Wendy, I have a last slide for next time. Otherwise, people are leaving.
We talked about this.
Yeah. Next session, 7th November, we'll be live. It's creating an inclusive company for company culture for internationals, and it's live at Creative Valley in Utrecht. It's in Central Station, and it's from 9:30 to 12, and registration will open soon on our website, and hope to see you there. It's a really nice venue, and it's nice to be together and talk more more together about this topic. And there are some more questions in the chat, but we will answer them separately. Okay. Sorry, Wendy. Anything more?
No, yeah. Fine. I saw a couple of questions. Yeah. So, Brechtje, do you stay on for a while, or we'll pinpoint a time to answer your question, because obviously it's my work. So I can definitely give you some pointers on that.
She will send you an email, she said.
Yes.
And the other one was also a slide off topic with what to do about discrimination at the workplace. So we'll tackle that also later. And thank you very much, Wendy. Thank you, everybody, for joining this webinar.
And hope to see your lunch time to us. We really appreciate it.
And see you hopefully soon on our live session. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.